This is the Kalmiopsis wilderness in southwestern Oregon, and this little speck of white here is Emily Camp, which is the last remaining inholding in the Kalmiopsis wilderness. And this is why they want to run me out. I'm not going to let them.
Which one do you think should take? The big one or the really big one? Both. The little one would be better. Just take both. Well, take both. Yeah. You take both. Because who knows how far we'll have to go to get. Alright, we need a shovel soon. Yeah, here's a shovel. I want to grab
That's exciting.
Pretty good. Hi, baby.
Yeah, get more gold, huh?
I first came to Emily Camp back in 2010, the summer, for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, out here by ourselves with the cabins and food supply in the kitchen and the heat, the extreme heat. And now we've returned back to Emily Camp now in 2011, of July 2011, and we've been here and we've been finding some more gold. I started dredging in the year 2004, 2005. I started with my dad and a couple of his buddies. We went originally in North Carolina, I'm from, and that's when we started dredging. And we bought a 4-inch dredge, high banker, gold screw, all the equipment back in '04. My dad originally did it back in like 20 years ago, back in the 80s by himself, but I've started back in 2004 with him. And I do it for the fun of it, for the thrill of it, for the money, for the gold, the color, and to help my dad and to just have fun. And I think that's it right now.
This is a suction dredge. It's one of the techniques for mining for gold here at Emily Camp. How a dredge works is you have a gasoline engine that's working at the surface to pump water down through what's called a venturi. The venturi then creates a suction to pull gravel and rock up through the suction hose. And that's what's used in order to get the gravel up into the sluicebox, which is typically floating on the surface. The idea is to get down to the bedrock where the heavy metals are located, down in these cracks and crevices. Dredging underneath these big boulders is where a lot of the bigger gold is found. So that's how a suction dredge works. It's certainly not adding pollutants to the water, it's just pumping water and rock up into the sluice box and then back down into the gravel beds. This is a freshwater eel. It's been here for the last 3 days as we're dredging. It doesn't appear to be intimidated by our operation whatsoever. As you can see, there's quite a number of small fish swimming around looking for food that's coming up with the rocks that are being dislodged. They're feeding, they just love this process, and they're certainly not scared of us working. They're right there along with us, swimming around the sluice box, swimming around us. I've been here at Emily Camp when there's been flash floods as a result of thunderstorms, and that water level will come up 6 to 8 feet and this water will turn chocolate brown. It's just amazing that there'll be so much water and so much dirty water coming down these rivers. It's just inconceivable that this little operation here could be doing any damage compared to what Mother Nature does on a natural basis every year. Here we're trying to move this big rock, and of course the gold is underneath these big rocks. So in order to move them, it requires getting a good grip and a lot of power. This rock must weigh at least a ton or two. How are we going to get this big rock out of the way? That's the question. There's no way we can do it by hand. How about a chain? How about a winch? So we put a chain around the rock and you get a good grip and pull it up to a winch. And this is just a little 1-ton winch, and we just are able to move that rock slowly but surely away from the rock below it so we can get access. Just enough to get the gold. I think we just lost our grip. We'll have to get another grip. We're going to try to get this rock to move now. Oh, it moved. We don't need to move it that far, but just far enough to get our suction dredge underneath so we can get the gold out. All this gravel goes through a suction hose, and that material ends up on a sluicebox, which is floating up at the surface. So we've been working for several hours now, and there's been maybe a yard or two of material that's been worked. Looks like it's time to do a cleanup now and go take a look at what's in that sluice box. The first step is to take the classifier screen off of the sluice box and take a look to see if there's any larger pieces of gold. The upper head of the sluice box will be where the nuggets and larger pieces of gold will be located. Right here on this rubber matting. Looks like they're picking out some pieces of gold. Yep, there's another piece. That's where it normally will be when it's coarse.
Oh my gosh, look at that nugget. Yeah! Tony, that's a quarter-ounce nugget.
Oh, you can take a peek up. There's more.
Fire it again. Fire it again. Yeah!
So the next step is to remove the riffles, which hinge up, and to clean the carpets. Now this is a double sluice, so the coarser material goes across an upper set of carpets, and then the fine material goes down underneath. There's a classifying screen up at the top that separates out the fines from the coarser material. It's very important to clean these carpets, as the gold and heavy black sand will want to stay in them. So a very rigorous motion is needed in order to break that material loose. Here you can see that heavy material, that black sand, is the last to come out of the carpets. The reason why black sand is so important is that gold and black sand will typically travel together because their weights are very similar compared to the rest of the river rock. Black sand is typically your iron ore base material. It's 3 to 4 times heavier than your average river rock, where gold is much heavier. So the next layer is your fine material. Taking out the sluice riffles again for that layer gains access to another set of carpets, and those need to also be cleaned rigorously. There should be quite a bit of black sand in this. Now all this material is being dumped into a black plastic tub. This plastic tub will then have all the concentrate once they're done cleaning out the sluice. The tub will then be taken up to a camp where it will be processed for all of its fine gold. Let's take a look to see what the black sand looks like here. This black sand is indicative of working in the right area where the gold is located. Look at the black sand there. There's even some gold. The gold will be the last thing to move on the slick plate sluice. All this material dumps into the tub. Then it's placed into a 5-gallon bucket, and then the bucket is then used to dump into these classifying screens. The next step is to classify the material. And the reason for classifying the material is so you can pick out the larger pieces of gold, and you want to separate those out because it makes your refining process of the fines much more efficient and quicker. And then they'll be reclassified using a finer screen. And the fines then, through that, will then be processed through one of the machines that helps get out the much finer gold.